that you made in an extension to the Brexit deadline to ensure it gets ratified. What would you say if the UK asks for 3 months, but the EU says, we don't believe you have a plan to pass it, and if you want to extend, it has to be for a year, say?
Well, we do have a plan to pass it, and this is what we're having very productive discussions about at the moment. I had very good discussions in Brussels yesterday and on Monday, as did Geoffrey Cox and Steve Barclay. There's a lot of ground that needs to be covered, but we do believe that we can demonstrate there is a way through this that can protect the peace process in Northern Ireland, to which the UK's commitment is unconditional. All of us grew up in a period in our history which was terribly scarred by terrorism, and there can be no winding back the clock on that. But also one that we can get through the British Parliament and protects the single market, which we understand is an important priority. So, we are focused on getting that agreement through. We think there is a way through, and we're confident if we do that, we can meet that 29th of March deadline. And I think the issue about an extension is whether that really solves anything. I think the last thing that people in the UK and indeed the rest of the EU want is Brexit paralysis, with this issue hanging over Europe like a shadow. I think people want to move on, and they want to demonstrate that we can have a Brexit that respects the referendum result, but also means that we remain the best of friends with our neighbours in Europe. Oliver Moody? Yes, Oliver. Yes.
If you were pressed to estimate the current likelihood of a no-deal Brexit in percentage terms, what would the number be?
Well, I think it's dangerous to put these things in hard percentages. What I would say is that the single most uniting factor in all the discussions that I've had with Europeans, with the vast majority of people in the British Parliament, is that no one wants no deal. And that is certainly true for businesses on both sides of the channel, but I think it's true for politicians and people. So I would say that people are working very, very hard to avoid that outcome. But also, in order to avoid no deal, what you have to do is to have a deal. And that means that we need to make the necessary compromises so that the Attorney General can change his advice to the British Parliament, and we can end up with an agreement that works for both sides. So, my view would be that this is really something